Hello, it's Tuesday, March the 30th, 2021. I'm Greg Stevens, along with Mike Garofalo and Tim Fox. Thank you for joining us today. So very glad that you did. The drama on the United States-Mexico border continues, with more and more illegal crossings happening really nonstop. Today, we'll have an update for you, not from Texas this time, but from Cochise County, Arizona. Sheriff Sergeant Tim Williams will join us. A little later, we'll also talk with Sery Kim, who's running in a special election to fill Texas Congressman Ron Wright's seat, who died earlier this year. There's a lot to cover. Let's get started with Mike Garofalo. Mike, to you.
Greg, how is Joe Biden's health? Many Americans are likely wondering about that after his not-so-stellar performance during the first press conference of his presidency last week, and after he stumbled 3 times as he climbed the stairs aboard Air Force One recently. Now, according to his press secretary, Jen Psaki, the White House is committed to releasing a comprehensive report on Joe Biden's health in the near future. She wouldn't commit to an exact date, but Psaki did say she would find out when the 78-year-old is due to go back to the doctor. The White House has repeatedly denied that Joe Biden is facing any serious health issues. In what's become a theme of the Biden administration, this president and his staff have decided to roll back another Trump policy, and they're releasing migrant families into the U.S. instead of sending them back to Mexico. According to data provided by the U.S. Border Patrol, agents are now releasing the vast majority, upwards of 85% of families that are caught trying to cross the border illegally into the United States. The Biden administration's decision to move away from sending families back across the border is centered on the COVID-19 emergency and a measure called Title 42. The family units and unaccompanied minors currently crossing are most often from the Central American countries of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. However, senior border officials say that they are currently encountering more illegal aliens from Ecuador, Brazil, and Cuba. Well, every night, the recently opened shelter at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church in Mission, Texas, fills up with nearly 100 migrants who have been allowed to remain in the United States as they apply for asylum refugee status.
If you see a person who has no place to stay and nothing to eat, and they ask you if you could help them, you help them. And of course, Jesus himself said that. He said, you know, when you see somebody a stranger who's lost and needs help, and you help them, you're helping me.
These people are among the border crossers seeking refuge here as the Biden administration allows families with children under 7 years old immediate entry. After they arrive, Pastor Roy Snipes blesses them with holy water from the Rio Grande. And hundreds of unaccompanied minors were due to arrive in San Antonio last night. They are part of the surge of illegal border crossings over the last few weeks. The 500 minors will be housed at an emergency holding facility set up inside the Freeman Coliseum. Currently, boys between the ages of 13 and 17 will be staying there. The center, that is, will have a potential capacity of 2,100 beds. Greg, back to you.
All right, I want to bring in Sergeant Tim Williams, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office there in Arizona. Sergeant Williams, welcome to Victory.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Okay, we want to get an update. We were doing some fact checking earlier in the week or last week when the president spoke about how that this is not a crisis and all. I want to get the people that are really on the ground there to give their weigh in on this. Sergeant Williams, what's it like on the border?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in a crisis. This time last year, we were only seeing, we're seeing about 300 to 400% increase as of right now than we were last year. That's not a crisis. I don't know what is. The border is just wide open. And in Arizona, where I work, what we're seeing different than a lot of other areas is we're not seeing a lot of the give ups at the border. We're seeing all the ones that are trying to, stay head to toe camouflage and not be caught by Border Patrol still coming across. And that's what we're seeing, a large increase here in Arizona.
Wow, Tim, that's interesting. Why do you think that is? In Texas, they come across and immediately ask for Border Patrol. But you're telling me in Arizona, it's opposite of that. Why do you think that is?
A lot of that has to do with the Title 42 that the United States Border Patrol enacted, where the catch and release, they're catching them, but they're still sending them back to Mexico. The state in Mexico, Sonora, is still accepting that. That expires in April in Arizona. So once that happens, and if that doesn't get renewed, then we can't return those individuals back to Mexico. They have to stay here in the United States. Texas is dealing with that right now, and I think that's one of the big things that's different between Arizona and Texas right now. But once again, that expires here pretty quick.
So that tells me that the people who are crossing know if you're going to cross, you want to cross in Texas or California maybe, but not in Arizona. So it sounds like there's some advanced planning that's happening south of the border.
Correct. We've always been clear that the cartel is a well-organized organization. They know where to cross and how to cross and what they're doing. That's probably why we're seeing the ones, not trying to be detected, not giving up here at the border in Arizona, because we are still sending them back for the most part.
Sergeant, the White House and the president in particular have been saying that this border surge, so to speak, started with the previous administration. They've basically inherited it. Is that what you're seeing?
We were seeing quite a bit last year, but I will tell you, come right around November, December timeframe, that's when we started seeing a very, very large increase coming across the border. And you will see a lot of them believe that they're going to get asylum once they get here, and a lot of them believe it's going to be easier for them to get in the United States now that the administration has changed.
All right, Sergeant, let me ask you this. When we mentioned the cartels, and several sheriffs have been on with us and Border Patrol, they're saying that the cartels are running the border right now in all effect because the agents are off making Costco runs for the people who are here. In that, can you explain to people what the cartel is? A lot of people, they disconnect, don't know what that is.
The cartel is simply just the organization that makes the illegal act occur. They're facilitating it by providing the camouflage that the illegals will wear. They also take the money that the illegals have to pay, or the drug runners, and then they're also the ones that are controlling the drug influx into the United States. They're definitely the organization. If you think of any business plan, their business plan is just illegal. They're trying to flood the United States and make a very, very large profit on that. In simple terms, they're a business, and they're a very profitable business at this point.
Yeah, to the tune of about $14 million we learned from the senators. And I'm not talking about total 14, about $14 million a month right now is what I recall the senators briefing in Texas this last week. So what are you seeing? These are all not Mexicans coming over. You're seeing other things coming across the border as well besides the drugs, correct?
Correct. We're seeing the Mexicans, El Salvador, Guatemalans, mainly crossing the corridors that we work here in Arizona. We are seeing a little bit of other nationalities come across, but I would say for the most part, that's what we're seeing. And then once again, most people don't understand. All of them are covered head to toe in camouflage. All of them try to not be detected for the most part. When we go after them, they try to run. That's where the pursuits happen. That's where there's more interaction with the inner parts of Arizona communities occur, because they're trying to get to those communities however they see fit, whether it's driving a van full of illegal aliens at 110 miles an hour down our highways and causing all kinds of havoc.
Let me ask you one little quick question here. These are teenagers. A lot of these are teenagers and children with no parents or anything else. What kind of future do they have in America not being able to speak English and get a job? What will this do to them?
Regardless what, the age group, this is an illegal act. We have policies in place to come in the country legally. We're actually not seeing as much younger children in that here in Arizona. We're seeing more of your mid-20s males, some females crossing. Most of these are not the younger groups that are just giving up at the border. Once again, they're all trying to come across through the mountain ranges and the harder parts And once again, they're all 20-ish years old. So
Right. Sergeant Tim Williams, Cochise County, Arizona. Sir, thank you for your service and what you're doing and for being with us today. God bless you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, as you can imagine, former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams is not a fan of the state's new voting laws. Abrams rallied hard against the bill, calling it Jim Crow 2.0, but her former opponent and current governor, Brian Kemp, stood firm, defending the bill and claiming that the Democratic activist was trying to pad her bank account. Kemp spoke with Breitbart News about the new voter requirements and went on to say that Abrams is getting billionaires to give money to this cause. Kemp also said President Joe Biden, who, like Abrams, criticized the bill as Jim Crow in the 21st century, displayed a lack of awareness of the bill's provisions. Greg?
Well, it wasn't Jim Eagle at this point.
Well, sure.
An Asian American woman was attacked by a man who reportedly kicked her in front of witnesses who seemingly stood by. This is surveillance footage released by the New York City Police Department. Police say the 65-year-old woman was walking in Midtown Manhattan on Monday afternoon when a man came up and kicked her in the stomach, knocking her to the ground. The man then stomped on the woman's face several times while hurling anti-Asian sentiments at her. Police said he later casually walked away, as the footage shows. The woman was hospitalized with very serious injuries. I want to bring in Sery Kim, who's running for a special election to replace Congressman Ron Wright, who died earlier this year. She is a Republican running in Texas' 6th Congressional District. Sery, welcome to Victory News. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
So we're hearing stories about Asian violence. I want to get your thoughts on that as you are making this run for Congress.
So I have two thoughts on it. First and foremost, that horrific incident that you saw on video, the most shocking thing for me is that there were 2 security guards 3 feet from that woman. They chose not to help her. There were 5 other bystanders around that woman. They chose not to help her. If you see these acts of violence against Asian Americans, why aren't you helping? Here in Tarrant County, Ellis County, Navarro County, in Texas, people open doors for me. I've never faced an incident of Asian violence here in Texas. So I would say it's incumbent upon these bystanders to actually intervene. Second, it's not as if there is a new rate of Asian American violence. What's interesting is that the liberal media elite are highlighting the selective incidents in order to help themselves and their own narrative, as opposed to focusing on the real Asian issue, which is China produced coronavirus in a Wuhan lab, and Joe Biden is hiding the scientific fact in order for his family to make billions from that country. That is real Asian violence.
Wow. Let's talk real quick about the race that you are in, and you are actually running for office for the first time. What inspired you to run for office? And then I guess the next question would be an office of this magnitude.
Well, I saw Greg could run for Congress, so I figured, why not? I'm only teasing. So I decided to run for Congress for one reason. My parents are immigrants legally from South Korea. They came over here trying to go to school, and what happened was they became janitors. They were actually cleaning toilets, emptying trash cans in the district where now I get to run for Congress. This great American dream that each and every one of you sacrificed for has allowed this possibility to happen, that someone who is a part of the working poor can now climb to the highest echelons of power. And I want to be in Congress because it's important to have people of conviction. I am not ashamed to say that I believe in Jesus Christ. He is my Savior. He is my Lord. He rose from the dead the Sunday, which we will all celebrate. Those values are no longer represented in Washington, D.C. And if you want to support a Christian, a young female minority, I'm your candidate. SaryForTexas.com.
There we go. All right. You mentioned the virus. I want to go back to that just a moment there. Do you believe that some of this violence we're seeing against Asians has to do with that?
Absolutely, because they record it on television and they place it through YouTube. But the real incidence as it relates to coronavirus and China is that the Biden administration and the Democratic Party continually hide the fact that it was manufactured in Wuhan. You want to know why Anthony Fauci is so annoying? His lab at the National Institutes of Health gave $15 million to Wuhan to develop the biologics, yet they did no oversight, they did no investigation. And the last time Anthony Fauci actually did something as it relates to the pandemic was 2009. He is only concerned about media hits. He is not concerned about science.
I refer to him as Lord Fauci. Sari, thank you so much. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Mike, back to you.
Greg, 90% of American adults will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine in the next 3 weeks. That is what Joe Biden announced on Monday. The president also asked,
I'm reiterating my call for every governor, mayor, and local leader to maintain and reinstate the mask mandate. Please, this is not politics. Reinstate the mandate if you let it down. And business should require masks as well. The failure to take this virus seriously, precisely what got us in this mess in the first place.
As you just heard, on Monday, the president asked governors and states that have eliminated the mask mandate to reinstate it. Joe Biden brought up the CDC director's warning about an impending doom if people let their guard down. Well, it won't be an official government document, but the Biden administration is said to be working with private companies to set up guidelines, whereas people can show proof that they have been vaccinated. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Monday that the administration will provide guidance to help develop vaccine passports and similar systems. Psaki also said there will be no federal mandate requiring all Americans to obtain a single vaccine passport. Instead, it will be an open marketplace of companies and nonprofits developing such technology. Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron Desantis is making a strong case to run for president in 2024, standing up against vaccine passports.
Not have COVID vaccines mandated in Florida. The flip side of that, though, with these vaccine passports is it's completely unacceptable for either the government or the private sector to impose upon you the requirement that you show proof of vaccine to just simply be able to participate in normal society. You want to go to a movie theater? Should you have to show that? No. You want to go to a game? No. You want to go to a theme park? No. So we're not supportive of that. I think it's something that people have certain freedoms and individual liberties to make decisions for themselves. I also wonder, it's like, okay, you're going to do this, and then what, give all this information to some big corporation? You want the fox to guard the hen house? I mean, give me a break.
DeSantis said that people shouldn't need to show proof of inoculation against the COVID-19 virus to go to a game, movie theater, theme parks, or other social events. He also urged the state legislature to take more permanent action. And are you one of the Americans who will have to pay higher taxes under the Biden administration? Well, let's take a look. Joe Biden has made it clear that families earning up to $400,000 would not see their income taxes go up. But what about individuals? Well, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reportedly gave us some insight last week that threshold for individuals will also be $400,000. So does that mean married couples filing jointly will get penalized? It appears that way. One way around that could be, even though you are married, filing individually under the current proposal being talked about. If enacted, the top tax rate would go up from 37% up to 39.6%. Well, you could call it budget reconciliation abuse. For the third time this year, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is poised to use this obscure procedure that allows Democrats to bypass the filibuster and push through Joe Biden's often radical agenda. And with budget reconciliation, it can be done without one Republican vote. The latest measure on Chuck Schumer's spending spree, an infrastructure plan costing up to $4 trillion. It is also expected to include a package of tax increases. Most pieces of legislation must clear a 60-vote Senate hurdle. According to Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974, reconciliation measures are only supposed to be used once per fiscal year. Tim, back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you. Now, the governor of Arkansas has on his desk a piece of legislation that, if signed, would ban access to gender-affirming care. So what is gender-affirming care? Well, it involves the use of puberty blockers and hormones by transgender minors. The measure overwhelmingly passed the Arkansas Senate on Monday by a vote of 28-7. According to reports, the legislation will prohibit public funds from being used by organizations or entities providing gender transition procedures. The law would apply to those under the age of 18 and ban state-owned facilities from providing transition-related care. It would also prohibit the state's Medicaid program from reimbursing providing coverage of gender-reaffirming care to minors. State Senator Alan Clark is the bill's sponsor. He has called gender-affirming care experimental at best.
Well, it appears to be a bit of a game of ping pong in South Dakota. According to FaithWire, lawmakers once again voted to send a bill banning biological males from competing in female sports to the governor's desk. Last week, Kristi Noem issued a style and form veto that sent the measure back to the House. The governor reportedly wants the measure to only apply to elementary and secondary school athletics in South Dakota. As written, House Bill 1217 currently applies to elementary and secondary schools as well as the state's public universities as well. I want to bring in candidate Sery Kim back into the discussion here with the gender identity things that are happening and all the bills that are before Congress. What are your thoughts on these things?
It's shocking and it's embarrassing. Governor Kristi Noem is so focused on running for president in 2024, she forgets that you have to fight for the truth. And the truth is quite simple. Boys should play boys sports. Girls should play girls sports. Boys should use boys restrooms. Girls should use girls restrooms. That's it, full stop. And so I think what we see right now is that the woke cancel culture of the socialist Democrats, they want to tell us what our morality should be. But what we know to be true is that they can neither pay for these selective morals that they are trying to force upon the rest of the country, nor can they actually make us believe what we know to be not true. God created us individually to be our gender, period, full stop.
Okay, I have a question for you. You're running against 22 other people in a special election. What sets you apart from the others?
Well, other than my massive quantities of hairspray and red lipstick, I would say that, if you vote Sery Kim, you are basically voting for somebody who believes in the Christian morals of this country. I am the embodiment of the American dream, not because I'm special, but because the American people have sacrificed to obey the laws of this country. We are an amazing country. And as an Asian American woman in the hot topic of Asian American discrimination, what I will say is that Christians are not the ones that discriminate against Asians. Conservatives are not the ones that discriminate based upon the color of my skin. It is the socialist Democrats who choose what color is valuable, what sex is valuable, and what person is valuable. And so I would say that that is unfair.
Okay, I got one more follow-up for you. You go to Washington, D.C. How do I know you're not going to change and become part of the swamp?
I would just say that I have proven my entire life that I am a person of conviction. There is a long history of me on television saying what I believe in. And most importantly, I think as someone who is a person of faith, if you can't tell the people the truth, then you shouldn't be a part of society in general. And so I like to think that I am an honest and genuine person. And hopefully people will go to my website, SERY for Texas, SaryForTexas.com, and just see the things that I believe in and maybe even donate.
I want to tell you, thank you for stepping up and doing this and running. And there's the address on the bottom of the screen, SaryForTexas.com. Thank you so much for being bold and taking this step. And God bless you in the endeavor. And we will watch in this runoff election how it turns out. Thank you so very much. Mike, I want to pitch it back to you.
Well, Greg, he is back, and you can connect with him. We are talking about former President Donald Trump. This week, he launched an official website, which is essentially a platform for his supporters to stay in touch. 45office.com will also be used to showcase his time in office. Once again, that is 45office.com. The former president is also expected to launch his own social media platform within 2 to 3 months. At least one fellow Republican has their sights set on Lisa Murkowski's Senate seat. On Monday, Kelly Tshibaka announced her plan to run for the Alaska Senate seat when it is up for re-election in 2022. Tshibaka resigned on Monday from the job she has held since 2019 as head of the Alaska Department of Administration. Murkowski is considered a moderate Republican, was one of 7 GOP senators who voted to convict Donald Trump for his actions on January 6th. The Alaska Republican Party voted to censure Murkowski for her vote against Donald Trump. Tshibaka has worked for the offices of the Inspector General, for the U.S. Postal Service, Federal Trade Commission, and Department of Justice before joining Governor Mike Dunleavy's administration. Well, the whirlwind continues for Andrew Cuomo now that a 10th woman has accused the New York governor of sexual misconduct. The most recent victim is a 55-year-old woman named Sery Kim, who claims that Cuomo kissed her on the cheek twice on the same day back in 2017. The incident occurred when Cuomo was visiting Ville's home in upstate New York to survey flood damage in the wake of a storm. Ville claims that Cuomo's actions made her feel embarrassed and weird, and that Cuomo attempted to justify his actions by saying it was part of his Italian heritage. Cuomo's own legal team has responded, calling the allegations nothing unique, and that the governor has greeted both men and women with a kiss on the cheek. The Department of Education, that's back to you guys. I'm going to send it back to you guys. Sorry.
All right. Thank you, Mike. It's very interesting and disturbing. I want to bring in, she's still with us. I'm going to bring in Sari on this. The war on women seems to be continuing in New York. This is accuser number 10. We used to hear we have to believe them, the Me Too movement. What's happened? What changed?
Well, it's a Democrat. You know, if you're a Democratic governor, then you can be a sexual predator and not have anything happen to you. If you're a Democratic president like Bill Clinton was, and he abused and harassed women all throughout his career, you can stand next to Vice President Kamala Harris, as he did a week ago, and be considered a great United States president. The problem with the Democratic Party is morality stops when they speak. And that is a real problem in this country. Morals are consistent, our values are consistent, and it should apply to both parties. Equal
protection under the law, equal. I like it. I want to thank our special guest today, Cochise County, Arizona Sheriff Sergeant Tim Williams. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And Texas congressional candidate, you met her today for the first time, many of you, Sery Kim. Thank you for joining us, and go to her website and interact with her there. We'll be back tomorrow or tonight at 5 Eastern time, tomorrow back at noon Eastern, and at 4 p.m. Central tonight. Make sure you join us. Tim Fox, you are headed somewhere. Where are you going?
Yeah, we are going back down to the border. I'll be leaving tomorrow morning to go back down there to give you another report from down there, because it appears that many people in this country, starting from the White House and others, feel like there's not a crisis down there. So we're going to go back down there and find some people to talk about it and find out what is really going on down there.
That's the most interesting thing to me, to realize that many believers, Christians, don't believe that there's really anything that serious happening. And this is why we go down there, not to try to convince you, just to show you and let you decide. Don't forget to watch Flashpoint tonight with Gene Bailey, 8 Eastern, 7 Central Time. Dutch Sheets will be on with him, Mario Murillo, and Hank Kuhneman. It will be a moment you won't want to miss when you get all of that group together. That's Flashpoint tonight. Information under the anointing is a very powerful tool. That's what we provide you. So we want to keep you informed with all these things. Tim, safe travels to you tomorrow as you go. God bless you, Tim.
God bless you, everybody. Thanks for being with us today. Remember, we're here to tell you the truth and to encourage you. God bless.
See you later. Bye-bye.